listeners, Harika here, and I'm super excited to welcome you to UppTalk. If you're ready to learn and get your hands work wonders in the world of information technology, then you're in the right place. When I say UppTalk, we are not just another edtech company. Consider we are your learning partner committed to unlocking your full potential. Whether you're stepping into the world of technology for the first time or looking to advance your career, we provide top-tier, hands-on courses to build up your career. Let's take our first step towards learning here and explore it.
Okay, so let me okay. So this is our integration, right? Yes, this RDP is very slow, which is why I'd like to do it in my laptop. Let me declare this one in. This will be needed by us, so we'll use some components. Or let's talk about splitter first. We will talk about splitter first, okay. So yesterday we talked like how we can use a subroutine. So basically, as I mentioned, we use this local in and local out or subroutine. Then we have some repetitive code. Okay, also to organize your code. Okay, now let's say so. You must have been part of, so have you heard of this term? MBC, MNBC. Yeah, no. So it basically stands for Model View Controller. Okay, no, I mean it's not related to Workday, it's just a generator. Okay, so why I was asking was so if you would have written some codes in PeopleSoft, right? So there would be some things which would be functioning separately, like you would keep some code as plugin and plug like plugin and play something like that. No. So what I mean to say is, so let's say this is my whole of code. Okay, now I have small codes. Right? And I will call them somewhere here, right? Some here, right? In my main code. I call some codes which I have written in some other places, right? Because if I write all the code in one place, it will be very bulky and very messy. It's not organized anymore, right? So this is another use of local in and local out. Okay. All right. So let me delete all of this today. We don't need it. Okay, we need CSV XML. Okay. So today we will talk about splitter. Okay, right? Okay, one important thing. So, though we have not spoken about error handler, but the best practice for any studio code, you cannot exclude something called as global error handler. Okay, there is a term called global error handler, so you just always pick it and you put it like this. Okay. And that's it. This is like whole office. This is like self-complete module. This is again like plug and play. You don't have to do anything in this. If you want, like you can. Mention your particular error. So that's it. So somebody we can just say, you can say caught by global error handler right. So that's a syntax, how we write. So you always should put global error handler. Okay, all right. So this is like if you have heard about try and catch, or if you know about anything about exception handling. So there is a parent like which we keep to handle runtime exceptions. So we did some testing during our phases, but definitely there can be some scenarios which is not caught by us, which we can meet in production tomorrow. That's why there is production support, right? If there are never issues in production, we will never need production support. So production support is required because there can be unseen scenarios which were not able to be, you can say, duplicated in test environments, or there could be taught by the testing engineers or something. So that's why production support is required, and every developer in his code put a certain fragment that it can handle any unseen error. By handle, I do not mean that it can solve and start moving afterwards, but it can catch it so that when you debug it, you will know what the error is. Okay, right. Okay, so this is for that. Since we are not using this local in, let me delete this one. Okay, now we will use a splitter. Okay, first why splitter is used. Okay, so you remember how the output of our CSV to XM looks like. Right? This is our XML. Okay, so this is like one employee. This is another employee. That's right. Right, okay, then you will process. Basically, when you will process one by one, right? So you want to pick this name. You want to pick this employee ID. You want to pick this. You want to pick this deal. You want to pick the city. So the tags are the same, right? Name, employee ID, SSN. It's all same. So when I will write in my code, okay, pick SNN. It can get confused, right? Which one to pick. So there are two records. Now, I can hard code. Okay, pick the first one. Then I can hard code. Okay, pick the second one. But what if there are like 10,000 records? And what if there are like dynamic records? Sometimes it's 800, sometimes it's 500, sometimes it's 600. How can I specifically mention, okay, pick the SS at row 600, pick the SSN at row 500? I cannot do that, right? That's not good coding practice also. So how we are going to process this information or data in our studio? So we are going to process it one by one, right? So yeah, so this is a full large XML. Okay, consider this. Consider this XML containing 1,000 records. So we want to process them one by one. So what's the first word when I say in English? What's the first word which comes to your mouth? Okay, let's break it. Let's work. What's the synonym for break? Right, so there the name comes from splitter. Okay, so when you add a splitter, there are definitely different strategies here. So you have to click on strategy and this will come. So this is one custom splitter. This is standard splitter. This is XPath splitter. This is XStream splitter. So all of these three previous okay except for custom. Except for custom, all other splitters are like, but we call in Workdays deprecated. Okay. So standard splitter is something which we I mean which you will see that no Workday consultant uses anymore because it's very, very slow. Okay, in fact, the whole of Splitter is very slow, which is why the whole Workday community has moved to Accessibility 3.0, which we have coming later in 5th and 6th week. Okay, but there where we have to handle records like to 20,000 to 20,000, we can still go with Splitter, but where the value goes above 20,000, it's always recommended to use Accessibility 3.0. Okay. So the whole of Splitter is slow. The standard splitter is like snail, slowest of all. XPath splitter is generally very complicated and confusing. Okay, so the advanced version of XPath splitter is called XML stream splitter. They both are very, very same. The advanced version is XML stream splitter. So we will start with XML stream splitter. Okay, so I will choose a strategy. So this is a strategy like how I want to split. Okay, now if you see, it requires me XPath. It requires XPath for me to split. So when I look at my XML, okay, tell me the XML tags where the whole of employee information is contained. Employee underscore entry. That's right. So employee entry is my tag where whole of employee information is contained. And if I ask you the XPath of that employee entry in this, so do you have any idea about XPath? No. Oh, we are going to have very difficult time if you don't know XPath. Oh, so how did you do integrations? I mean, how did you complete EIB? You never wrote an XLT in EIB. Yeah, I wrote the XSLT in EIB. Yeah, I did. You wrote the XSLT in EIB and you still don't know XPath. That's strange. How can you write an XSLT without XPath? Or maybe you know it, but you don't know that it's called XPath, is it? Yeah, maybe that's true. So okay, let me ask you this. If I want to pick value of name in my XLT, what do I have to write? I want my XLT to pick value of this name, so what do I have to write? I don't remember exactly. Okay, is that variable name? Let's say like XSSL. Colon, variable name equals to employee name or employee ID, something like that. That's declaring a variable, but how do you initialize it? I mean, there is a difference between declaration and initialization. Okay, so let me tell you a brief about XPath. Okay, so XPath is the address of that particular XML element in that XML. Okay, now I want to reach this name. How can I reach? Okay, for example, banker DR address is house number 114, state Texas, country USA. Right. So if I deliver a parcel from India to you, first of all, it will be segregated on the basis of your country. Right in my post office, it will be segregated on the basis of country. So this is a US parcel. Okay, all USA parcels are here. Then, when it reaches USA, it will be segregated on the basis of state. Okay, it's a Texas parcel, so it will go to the Texas library and then it will reach your address by street and province. And I mean, so there are like a lot of ways to reach to particularly you. Similarly, the XPath is nothing but the address of that particular XML element. Okay, so for example, I need this value. I need to know where that XM element lies. So first is the root element, always the root element. So the X path for this will be, I can say amp data. The next is employee entry. So we put a slash employee entry, then we put a name. Sven. Okay, so this is. But if I was the postman and I would see two houses with the same address, right? Because how would I know whether I want to pick this name or whether I want to pick this name? Okay, so there are some things which you can play in XMML in XPath, like we call that XML predicates. We put the square brackets. We can put one or two, right? So that's how basically we distinguish. And this is what I was referring to when I said, how much manual coding can I write? If there are like 600 elements, I cannot say, okay, pick a name of 600 element, right? So this is what I was mentioning. Okay, but I want to split. So I have to give an X bar and I want to split. So this element I want to split on the basis of employee entry. So the X part of employee entries, AMP data slash employee entry. Okay, so let me put it here. Okay, now this is where I meant. This is very, very important to remember that there is an option to provide namespace here. Now many people miss it. But this can cause serious troubles for you and you might not be able to understand. Okay, what's causing error in my splitter? Sometimes in XML we have something called namespaces. In specific, it can be like wood column. This is how sometimes elements are represented. So wood column is a namespace here. Okay, now I will talk. I will let you know what this means is. I will show you the error. When we will see how to get that output from a report, then I will show you. Okay, what this like? What the significance of this thing? Alright, and then this is a subroute. So after splitting, where do you want me to route the message? Like after splitting, where do you want me to route the message? So let me put another async. Okay, let me put a log here. So that I just want to see that how it is getting split. Okay. So message builder, message content, definitely, because then only we will know what splitter is sending to this async condition, right? So after splitter, okay, and I'll write another text. Splitter, message and okay. Okay, oh sorry, this cannot route it. We have to route the subgroup. Okay, now let's deploy it. Looks like a little bit slow today. Yeah, it's this remote desktop is always slow. So I perform a studio on my personal laptop. Yeah, come on, okay. And says okay. So okay. So while I download, what do you expect to see in the output? What according to you should be in the output? So did we mention which namespace we want? No means face. We will come later when we will get the output from report. Okay, so before report, we will not encounter namespace. We'll come to it when we will fetch the data from report. Okay, so this is your output. Okay, I don't want this. Okay, let me put it as of now. Okay, so this is not required. Okay, let me just keep it as of now. So basically, this is how it has printed, right? So Venkat, in our studio, did I make a local out? Did I make a local out or local in? Still, I see that this particular log has executed twice, right? This particular log has executed twice. Why do you think that? Why do you think that happened? So see after splitter and splitter message. And so this has executed twice. But why do you think this happened? Any idea? I mean, don't worry. I'm not gonna judge you. I'm not gonna say anything, but just give me anything. What do you think is happening? What do you think differently happened this time? That log is printing twice. They reduced to print only once. Because we created a splitter. Okay, and each record in the XML, when it writes in the log, the splitter will send this message to the XML. Is that true? That's right, that's absolutely correct. Okay, let me just give my expertise touch to your answer. Otherwise, it's a perfect answer. Okay. So each time this criteria is met or each time this founds this, XPath everything after this splitter. So consider this splitter as a loop. Okay, do you know what's a loop? Yes, it's keep repeating the same thing for iterations. Yeah, so consider this splitter as a loop. Alright, so whatever I have written in this strategy is this condition until or unless this phase, everything written inside this block of loop will be executed, no matter the consequences. Okay, makes sense. So yeah, how many times this XPath has encountered in our XML? 2 times because the employee entry, only a damped line tree, has the only 2. So if it is like 600, the 6, and let me ask a question. If I raise this employee entry, okay, if I give my XML something like this, do you mean to say that our splitter will run this code 4 times? Is that what you are incurring? So that information is absolutely correct. Okay, how can we do that? As of now, in this current studio, I want to make 4 records. How can I do that? In right, we have to add 2 more records here. That's right. That's absolutely right. So let me copy these 2. Let me keep rest of the remains same, just I will change the name. Okay, test 1. Test true, so save and deploy it. I think I opened the wrong file. Yeah. So okay, I can already see 4 times. But if you want, I can put it in next tab and make it like clean it for you. So I can see how I can see that. Right. Yeah, I can see the test 1 and test 2. Yeah. And then spectrum. So this is basically what I want to show you. So whenever we like receive data, we actually split it. And we perform operations one by one to each data set. Now Workday has given you one tool to split it. Now obviously okay. So I have performed. I've only written log here, but definitely I will perform some transactions or operations on this particular piece. Right. So I will fetch value of name employee. Okay, let's assume I will just write some code after splitter that I will declare some variables. Like I will say name is equal to get employee name. Right. I will say I will declare a variable SSN, but Venkat, don't you think each time my variable are gonna remain same, right? Variable can contain only one value. So every time a new data set will go, the name will override, right? First it will Venkat, but when this data will come, the name will become aged, right? So it's not possible for me to declare these variables each time I receive a data set. Am I making sense? So let's say there are 600 employees. I cannot write this employee variable name 600 times man. and true. And what if it's dynamic? Sometimes 600, sometimes 500. I will always miss something or some. You know I will always miss some time. Yeah, so that's why Workday has given you another tool which is called aggregator. It creates a proper write. So splitter is used to split your XML and process the record. Aggregator is used to club your XML. Okay, let's read in the document if we have not missed anything. Okay, come on, read on. A splitter is a mediation component that can process bulk message contents more than one data record. This component supports strategies and output called subroutes. You can add strategies and subroutes to the splitter component by selecting the appropriate icon from the context toolbar when you hover over the splitter component. Aggregator component can concatenate mediation message into a single patch message and route it to the configured mediation destination. And then this is the activity of adding a splitter. So they have also mentioned to create XML stream splitter. So that's the latest and that's the fastest. Okay, so they have mentioned root row because they did not override. You know elements name we did. So this is what they have tried to again explain how splitter output looks like. Uh, so before we go to the aggregator step, okay, now aggregator is not something which you will need every time. So aggregator will mostly be used when you are creating outbound integration. Okay. Now you have to understand there are two types of integration. One is inbound and one is outbound. Right? So when you have inbound integrations, that is a time when you will be playing most of the time, like 9% of the time, with web services. Okay? And when it's outbound integration, so 9% of the time it will be a report. Okay, so you will get the data from report. You will validate the data in Studio by splitting them one by one. You will transform each record and then you will aggregate it and send it. Okay, as of now, we are talking about inbound integration. Let's put aggregator on hold for now. Okay, we'll come back to aggregate it tomorrow or maybe next time, but we'll come back to it. As of now, let's put it on hold. For now, you need to understand splitter. And after that, I want you to learn Evil today. Before any these are some. I mean, every step is important. But if I say, okay, something less important or something more important, so these are a bit of less important for me. So even in this final studio, they are not using aggregator for, as per this document, they will not even teach you how to put an aggregator. I will do that. So I want you to learn Evil first. Okay, this. So until or unless you know this component, there is the you don't know half of the studio. This component is you can say, backbone of the studio. Okay, because you define everything here, all the logics you write, all the variables you declare, everything you do is in this component, eval. Now, since I told you that Workday has evolved on Java, Workday is completely built on Java. Okay, but Workday Studio has, you can say, modernized the syntax of Java and it uses its own bit of syntax, but it's like 90% coming from Java only. So if you will ask me, okay, why do we write this particular code? Only so like I will have no answer, because that's what function is available in Java library. Okay, you cannot write a CPuff function. It will work. 90% of times your Java functions will work directly. So all of these functions, like you can see, new java.exit simple date format. So these are all Java functions. Okay, new means you are creating an object. You create an instance. Okay. Otherwise, I mean, it's also available in the help document, but I would have captured some extra component or some extra functions here. And when you will learn to make a studio, you will feel like this is an end. Okay, there will be so many functions. You will know by then. So where is that? Why can I open this? Let me see. This is the chat box. Okay, I received a message. Hi, okay. Can copy and keep it. Let's see how it's safe in my Word document. Okay, did you get it? Yeah, I got. Now, okay. So, as I was saying, okay, understand this is an inbound integration as of now. Okay. So we are receiving these many employees from the vendor. Okay? Right. So we have to validate each record by record. I mean one row. Okay, one. And each record, whether it's a valid record for me to process or not, like I need to put those validations right. Yeah. Right. Right. So I need to put those validation. I need to know whether the record I am receiving is actually should I be processing it or not. So that's the part where we come to the validation. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a variable for each column here. So just to make it simple, I will delete this much data. Okay, I will only keep it limited to 2 columns. You can definitely test with more. I have no more problem. So this is my record as of now. My text email will also change. Consider first line. Okay. Splitter will remain same instead of log. Now I will write a well here. Okay, so I will try to fetch these values from the incoming XML. Now, when could I have to think of? I have to think like a programmer. So each time my splitter will send one message to the eval. each time as interval send one message to the eval. Okay, so I've seen that XML. How does that XML looks? That XML looks like this. So this is the XML. Sorry, this is the XML which will be received by eval function. This is the message which will receive by eval each time the splitter sends a message. Alright. Now from my documentation, I say if you want to pick or something from XML, this is the way you do it. So let me copy this. Let me create an expression here. So you create expressions here. So this is the way you declare a variable in Workday Studio. Right. So anything I can write in this single course, this is just a naming standard that's followed. But you can just like write test or what do we want to pick first name, right? So my name of variable is test name. Okay. Now part 0 means okay. Part 0 means part 0 is representing this XML in eval function. Part 0 is representing this XML in eval function. So I will say part 0 dot XPath. What I want to find, what is my XPath for this name? So it's a reply entry. Also, I'm not copied. Employee entry and slash name. Similarly, I will create another variable for employee ID. Now you know why I removed other variables. Otherwise, I would have to create for all right. So I will now just say I'm fighting. I just wanted to show you that we can keep any name. Okay, but is the X part same for employee ID? What X part? This is employee entry slash amp underscore ID. So that's what I will mention here. Now I will print them in the log. I want to see whether what I'm capturing is right or not. So I do not need message content because eval will not pass this in message. Okay, anything you pass through eval will be the same message for the next component. Okay, so I want to show you that if this XML has been passed to eval, okay, and I print message content in this log, the same XML will be printed. There will not be a single change. So this has not changed the message. Eval has not changed the message. Okay, it has performed some function on the message and stored it in variable, like it has pulled some information from there, but not hindered with it. Understanding my point? Right? It's still a little. You can skip this step. Basically, if I will print this message content now, the output will be same what you saw last time. It will be exactly same. These XMLs you will see. Yeah, I want to see it. So let me add again the same thing. After splitter, oh no, let me write one log. Which is a various completed. So I will say okay before eval, write to show you. Let me copy this for you. So what do you see before eval? This is your message before eval. What do you see after eval? This is your message after eval. Has anything changed? Nothing got changed. Right. Right. So eval does not hinder with your XML message. It only pulls the information from it. As of now, we have studied only two message changing components, write and ctext will. So deleting this log also, adding another log. So I don't want to print the message content. I want to see what has been printed in my variable. Oops. Now this is the way you define a variable. But is this true for printing it? So for printing it, you have to use a different syntax. You cannot use the same syntax. And I am telling you, it's a bit difficult to remember. So I will say this variable, okay. Let me just print for you so that you don't for variable. Cross-GTM value is, this is what I want to write. So the way you print a variable is a bit different. There is an @ sign. Then there is a curly bracket. Then your profs. And your curly bracket closes. Is it easy to remember? Right. Which is why you don't have to remember it. So that's the good part. Okay. So you click on this small envelope over here. Copy and paste your variable name and click on OK. This will do it for you. Makes sense. Okay, so why we are doing in the log? The variable we are printing. So we want to see what value has been captured by our variable. No, you don't want to check. Yes, we have to. So that one is. So I will again mess if I do not play with it. So it's always better. Click on here. Conv. This way, you will never make a mistake. Okay, save OK. Save. Save makes sense. So the value is banker to test to, but employee ID is 1224986349076. Oh, but the major part which you forgot, banker, was that now the final value of props MPID and props name, props test name is test2 and 9876. So I have lost all this information. Okay, so it's always recommended that you perform the next step as soon as you pull this value. Okay. Now my next step is I want to validate them. Okay, I want to validate them. Okay, to validate, we have to use another component that's called validate email expression. Where is MLMML? Sometimes it becomes hard for us to find, so that's why we always copy. So I think this is the one. No, Nova, you did, so you have to see the small one, ML, okay. So this is not ML. You are not using the right one, okay. Okay, so you have to think of some validation and let me know, then only I can write it here. So we have to validate with the name or the employee ID. It actually depends on the requirement given by your client. Oh, so the basic validation always in an input file is what I can tell you is. So let's say you have received 20 employee records. Okay, first you would like to validate whether the employee is even existing in your system or not. You don't want to press for an employee who is not even existing in your system. Right? That's correct. That's right. So what we are going to do is we will validate it against the employee IDs in our system. So for that we will have to create a report in tenant. We will have to call the data from tenant. That's how we will do it now. This will be a bit too much for today if I tell you a report and then we have to create a hash map and then write expression. This will become too much for you. So let me close the session for today. Now, and I will ask you that create for 5. You can say columns here, yeah, and create for 5 variables. Try and printing them. Okay, create, okay. 4 to 6 expressions, right? Okay, yeah. So, like I have written name, employee ID. So write for email, write for all of that. Okay. And the evaluation expressions. Okay. And then other one is what you have, what you said. Whatever one. No. So you will have to create also enough in right. Otherwise, how will you write the value right? Okay. So splitter and eval. I think it's enough for today. We'll go to report and well, everything tomorrow. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel. For more information, contact us sales@uptalk.com.